it's Jill from Thousand Lashes. I wanted to talk to you today about retention because retention really is the #1 question I get asked from fellow lash artists. It's something that can help you make or break your business. It's also something that can help you stand out. And without good retention, I fear that you may struggle in your business. So stick around for the entire video. I've got tons of tips and tricks for you. And if you like this video, please give us a thumbs up and also subscribe to our station because we have tons of videos coming and tons of information for you to learn. So the topics I wanted to talk to you today about retention is starting off with prepping. I always start my clients off with a lash bath, so we start with a clean slate. Also, I wanted to talk to you about to prime or not to prime, talk about proper placement. This is something I totally struggled with in the beginning, and without proper placement, you're not going to have good retention. Also, at the end, do you use a bonder or a mister? And I also wanted to talk to you today about aftercare because we really need to educate our clients. Without good aftercare, they're not going to have good retention, and they have to do their part in helping us. To begin my sets, I always start with a lash bath. I definitely recommend a lash bath because without clean lashes, those extensions will not stick. I use a professional lash bath, and I do recommend using a professional one over a homemade one. I then apply some water, and at the end apply a cotton round to wipe off all the excess water. To prime or not to prime, I only use primer on oily clients because it strips the oils, and if they are not oily, it's actually going to make the lashes brittle. Then I brush through all my lashes just to make sure nothing is sticking to them and they're absolutely clean. Dipping my glue is another key point to retention. With a classic lash, if you go in and do it too quickly, this is what happens. You get a bulbous ball. But if you take the classic lash and dip it in halfway and out slowly, it is evenly coated and great for retention. This is dipping a volume fan, and you just dip the very tip because if you apply too much, it'll go up the fan. With ProMades, we actually use a little bit more glue than the volume fan because it does not wrap just like a handmade fan does. There are 2 ways to isolate, either going in with a curved tweezer and separating on either side, or going in and separating on one side. Isolation is key to having a great set. This is an example of applying a classic lash. You put the base of the extension flush with the base of the natural lash, and just like that, it goes on straight with good attachment. Here is another example of applying that base to the natural lash and using good isolation. This is an example of wrapping a handmade fan. You put it on the natural lash and go up and down a little bit, shimming it so that it actually grabs the natural lash and slowly pull away the tweezers. Here is another example of applying a handmade fan. This is applying it a little bit closer to the lid, about a 1/2 millimeter away from the lid is what's recommended. Again, getting that base flush and having the fan straight is key to making your set look nice and neat. This is an actual attachment on a real-life client. Again, going in and isolating and attaching that base flush to the base of the natural lash, and direction is key. This is an example of using a ProMade fan. You can apply the fan either on top, on the side, or underneath. I do recommend if you can get underneath, it's probably the best. Again, mimicking the shape of the lash to the shape of the natural lash is really important to get the best bond. Also, holding your ProMade a little bit longer than you hold the other lashes is really important to make sure that the glue grips to the natural lash. And getting that base flush again is so important. This is an animation that I did to show how to get the bases flush with each other. Using a C curl, you have a lot more surface area to get the base flush with the base of the natural lash. But when you use a D curl, you see that there is not as much surface area, so you need to turn your wrist a little bit to make sure that that base is flush with the natural lash. On my mannequin here, you can see when you turn it to the side that all the bases are flush and not popping up, because if they do pop up and the client brushes through with the spoolie, the lash is actually going to pop off. At the end of the service, I do recommend using a bonder over a mister. I just feel it works better because it dries the glue from the inside out and it creates a more flexible bond. At the end of each service, I give each client an aftercare kit and go over how to wash their lashes daily. I then send each client a video of how to clean their lashes properly, so when they come back to me, they will be clean.